Hey there, I'm Tara Truvell. I'm a certified autism specialist and a parent mentor with over 20 years of experience. I want to welcome you back to Parenting Powerhouse. And if you're feeling ever like your kids have a knack for pushing all your buttons, well, of course, you're not alone. And today we're diving into something we all experience, but we don't always talk about, and it's feeling triggered ourselves. A lot of times we really talk about our kids feeling triggered and what we can do about it. But it happens to us too, and probably more often than we like to admit. And here's the spoiler alert, it's not just about what our kids are doing, there's so much more beneath the surface. We're going to chat about what it actually means to feel triggered and then why it feels so intense in our bodies, and how we can start using those moments as more or less opportunities for growth instead of spiraling into guilt and maybe frustration. And we'll even touch on the fascinating gut brain connection. I love it, and how it plays a role in all of this. So I urge you, grab a cup of tea, maybe coffee, find a comfy spot, and let's get real. So, what exactly is a trigger? It's really not just about feeling annoyed or upset. And when we're triggered, our nervous system just goes into overdrive. You felt it, right? Our body responds to this emotion like we're in danger, even when we're not. And you know what? Let's be honest. Sometimes it happens over things that seem so small. So, picture this. If you haven't been in this situation, then try your hardest. Otherwise, I think a lot of us have, maybe more than once a day or a week. So you ask your teenager to clean their room. What do you get from them? Well, usually, I don't know, they roll their eyes, right? And they might say, "Whatever, mom." Oh my gosh. Do you get that like tightness in your chest, or does your stomach just kind of like, contract or drop? And then the thoughts start to flood, right? I know with me, some of the things that I say, like just in my mind automatically, is what the F? Why does everything have to be a battle? And I'm just so tired of this. Maybe I even think like, I try so hard and this is what I get in return. Like, just thoughts are like flooding, and I can't even remember probably most of the things that I'm thinking. But I may also think sometimes like, okay, I'm not getting any respect. Why can't I get any respect? Am I like doing something wrong? Am I failing at this? Why can't I do it? And then that is actually the trigger in action, right? But that reaction might not be entirely about your teen's attitude, even though we think it is. It might actually be tied to something much deeper. Maybe it's a memory of how disrespect wasn't tolerated in our own childhood. Or maybe it's tied to that lingering belief that you're not doing enough as a mom. Remember those comparisons I've talked so much about? Our brain loves to connect the past to the present, and sometimes it does so without our permission. So, all right, now I want to get into a little brain science, but I promise I'm going to try to keep this simple. Okay, so when we're triggered, our amygdala, which is like our brain security guard, okay, it kind of jumps into action, right? It sounds the alarm and it's pumping out stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. And we've talked about cortisol. And if you want to know more about cortisol and our hormones, go to episode, I believe it's 23 or 24. So, guess what? Your body is now in fight or flight mode. But there's even more to it. The gut and the brain are actually in constant conversation through the vagus nerve. And this nerve is like a two-way highway, sending signals, constantly back and forth. So, have you ever had that stomach drop feeling when you're anxious or upset? That's the gut brain connection at work. And your body is just reacting faster than your thoughts. Okay. And when we feel powerless or overwhelmed, our nervous system doubles down on us. It's like why you might snap at your child or shut down completely. This is why. Not at all because you're a bad mom, but because your body is just trying to protect you. That's it. So, how do we start shifting this? All right. First, we need to tune into our bodies. So, let's say your kid is just refusing to, you know, do the simple things to get ready to run out the door, whether it's to school or an appointment or whatever. And so your jaw starts to clench, your heart starts to race, and maybe even your fists start to tighten or your body starts to tighten up, right? Well, that's your body talking to you. So next time you feel that, just pause and maybe ask yourself, where do I feel this? What sensations are coming up? And maybe even just placing your hand on your chest and taking a few deep breaths can calm that storm inside. And listen, it's not about dismissing your feelings. Not at all. I would never ask you to dismiss them or actually change your feelings. You can't. They're your feelings. They're real and they're going to happen no matter what. And you know what? You're allowed to have those feelings. You're allowed to feel frustrated. You're allowed to feel really pissed off. You're allowed to just not like your child in that moment, right? But you know what? Acknowledging it is how we start shifting from reactive to responsive. And that's kind of where we want to get to. So now that we're listening to our bodies, the next step is going to be reflection. So let's go back to that eye roll scenario that we get when we ask our teenager or our kiddo to clean their room. So once you've paused, just ask yourself, what story is my brain telling me right now? Because maybe it's something like, they don't respect me. They don't care about any of this. Whatever it is that really the whole truth? You know, think about this. Maybe your teen is just feeling overwhelmed with school that day. Or maybe they're testing boundaries really in a safe space. Remember, they are a teenager. They're trying to become their own person and they think they know what's best for themselves, right? And we shouldn't take that as, you know, offensive. No, it has nothing to do with us. It's not against us. This is natural for them to just be a teenager, right? So, all right, what do we do? Maybe we think just maybe their behavior isn't about you at all. It isn't about us. It's about some of that other stuff. And once we kind of realize that and we say it, which is like speaking our truth, and then once we really believe it, once we really buy into it, this is where the magic happens. So, when we reflect, we give ourselves a chance to really see that situation just more clearly. And then from there, we can choose when we adjust, how we adjust. And maybe instead of reacting with anger, you just calmly say, hey, I see you're frustrated. You know what? Let's just talk about this when both of us are calm. Okay? It could be that simple. And it might not always work, though. It's going to take time for you both to really trust each other, that you're listening to each other, that you hear each other, that you see each other. That's going to take time. That's just normal brain science, right? So after you get to this point, and it could take 2 times of this kind of scenario, it could take 5 times, or it could take 20. But you know what? Isn't it better to take 10 or 20 times and finally get it rather than just keeping this going day in and day out for months or years? So once you get to that point, the next step, this is where we take our power back. Okay. This is where we start to really feel good about ourselves, which then trickles, into the lives of everybody else in our household. But understanding our triggers, it's just not about never getting upset again. And I don't want to go into that space. Like, we're going to get upset. We're human. But it is like really about using those moments to really learn about ourselves. And then we actually make a transformation and we're able to decide when and where and how to adjust or react. That's when we have the power. That's empowerment, right? When we actually can decide and our brain isn't just controlling us. So when we pause and we reflect and adjust, we are actually at the same time teaching our kids that emotional regulation by example. And I know a lot of our kids don't model behavior well, but you know what? We are giving them an example and we're helping them learn through example and that feeling of trust and connection. So we start to just create a home that feels more safe. And that's what we want during those tough moments, right? And most importantly, we start healing those patterns that no longer serve us. So I want you to know you're not failing because you get triggered. You're growing. There's that word I like to use, growth, where you're growing because you're just willing to face it. And what really makes you that parenting powerhouse. So let's wrap up for today because that was actually a lot of information. It was a short episode here, but it was a lot of information, a lot of things to take away and practice. And if it resonated with you, I'd really love to hear your thoughts about how it's going. Maybe a situation that you were able to pause in, share it. We love to hear your wins. Maybe it's how you've navigated your own triggers. Maybe it's something different that we can use, or if you share it, then we can try it. Just share this with me on social media or send me a message and I can put it out there on the next episode. And if you're ready to really dive deeper and find out more about Parenting Powerhouse, that program I designed just for moms, check out the link in the description. I'll put it in the description. This is a step-by-step program that will guide you through a transformation, and it'll help you gain the knowledge, confidence, and clarity to parent much more intentionally and peacefully. So I want to thank you so much for spending time with me. I love you. You're doing an amazing job. And until next time, keep showing up with love and courage. You've got this, and I've got you.